I chose Ovid's Metamorphosis because when I first saw it in the book, it immediately caught my attention with the themes of constant changing and the fact that it was a pretty good insight into the scientific minds at the time, even if it was more in a sci-fi-ish light in the fact that it would give you a good idea on the scientific understandings of the time, but mostly through inference. And you could only really grasp it if you had a bit more context behind it. And if you're able to parse it apart, you would kind of understand where it was coming from. Um, with constant change, um, everything, my life has always been a string of change after change after change after change. Moving across the country for my father's job, new little siblings that would just kind of appear sometimes every year or two, needing a bigger house, needing to move out. There was one house we had 30-day notice that we had to leave. And that kind of chaotic change is kind of what drew me to the passage initially and kind of had me hooked through the rest of it. Because with all that change, you do learn a lot of lessons, and I had to learn kind of how to make friends, but also be ready to say goodbye at any given time in case suddenly I had to leave. I ended up unexpectedly leaving my high school from around here and moving to Colorado, and I was only really given a few months' notice. And changes like that, where it's the dichotomy of being able to live here, but also being able to immediately uproot and change wherever your home base is. And those ideas are pretty conflicting, especially if you want to be able to build a good home, a good place to return to. If you're constantly ready to uproot it at any given time, it's clashing. They're very clashing ideas. And for a long time, it felt as though my life was that kind of chaos where things wouldn't go together and school and home were these different bubbles that wouldn't touch, like the sea and the earth. And it felt like their own isolated things that would fight against each other because I could never really do homework at home. It was always a little too chaotic. Those two worlds couldn't combine, they couldn't connect, they didn't go together. And as the architect of all and it pulls it together, I see myself here trying to mend everything into this one cohesive unit and just trying to figure out how to fit these different bubbles of social life, home life, school, and trying to combine them into this one thing because I've never really had the chance to do that before because it was all separate. Everything was separated and against each other. Now, like the end of the excerpt, now everything's combining and creating something new. The fashion demand, it's creating something new and unique in life, divine life. And it feels like to me now that I've been able to actually combine these elements of my own life, these conflicting things that I never thought would be able to fit together. And although it's still unpredictable, and although the winds do need their chaperones, it it fits into something that I never expected. And it's making me feel like I am more whole and capable and able to do it without having to compartmentalize every different part of my own life.